Tim, your phone is off.
So our mic's not working.
Yeah, or they need the mics back. Thank you. Check it again. I can hear it.
You can hear us? Okay.
Yeah, here.
Dear Mark, just take this.
That was loud. It's loud.
Well,
Live
can't see
stream,
you yet, but
Facebook, make sure I get everything. Not Instagram. Yes, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We didn't give everybody all the information.
it's on the flyer.
Hi, it's Dr. Renee here at the Ask Dr. Renee show here at blackdoctor.org. And today we're doing something a little bit different. So according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Black Americans continue to be one of the main racial groups highly impacted by HIV. Among women, disparities also exist. Even with the advancement in science and medicine, Black women are disproportionately affected by HIV compared to women of other races and ethnicities. Although annual HIV infections remain stable overall among Black women from 2017 to 2021, the rate of new HIV infections among Black women is 10 times that of white women and 4 times that of Latina women. But this is only part of the story. And tonight we are shifting the narrative. I am so excited to be joined by some amazing sisters, and they are Sisters with a Voice. During this Women's HERstory Month, as we continue to highlight women on the move, tonight these sisters are taking over the show to tell their stories, to educate, empower, and to inspire other sisters, and to talk about not only living with HIV, but thriving while living with HIV. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
So we'll start here and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Karen.
And Karen, you live here in Atlanta?
I live in Atlanta, born and raised. I'm a Grady baby.
Okay. Next.
My name is Shadama McCann. I currently reside here in Atlanta, but I am returning back to the place that I love, which is Houston, Texas. I am a beautiful, bold Black woman who has been living and thriving with HIV for 28 years, and I'm also an ambassador for the CDC Let's Stop HIV Together campaign.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, my name is Myra, and I am not a Grady baby. I was born in Duluth, Georgia, Joan Glasser Memorial. I've been diagnosed since 1997, and I'm just living and thriving.
Hi, my name is Nia, Pastor Nia Allison. I'm newly diagnosed. I was diagnosed in 2017. I am an Heather IV ambassador now. I do advocacy work, letting individuals, women know that you can live and thrive.
Hi, my name is Renee, and I was born in Atlanta. I am also a Grady baby. I have been living with diagnosis of HIV ever since 1998. I'm living, surviving, and thriving. And will they take that back? HIV lives with me.
Amen.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Allen. I live here in Atlanta, but I'm originally from Florida. Been positive 36 years.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marcella Spruill, and I'm the coordinator for Sisters with a Voice. I'm originally from Massachusetts by way of Trinidad and Tobago, and I am HIV possible.
Hi, and I'm Sunshine Jordan. I live here in Atlanta, and I'm also HIV possible.
Thank you so much, ladies. So let's get right into it. First of all, I know everyone's like, what's HIV possible? So Marcella, since you're the coordinator of this fabulous group of women, please share with everyone.
It's very simple, but complicated, but
Exactly.
simple.
It went over somebody's head. I know
Yeah, it did. So being HIV possible is having an HIV negative diagnosis. However, if we are having sex and we are having intercourse with a man and we're not using protection and we don't know his HIV status, there's a possibility that I can get HIV. Because where does HIV come from? You know, the sperm.
Right.
So that's one of the fluids. So if he's ejaculating in me, then there's a possibility that
even if he's shooting blanks.
No, listen, even if he's shooting, listen. That part right there. So it's in the pre-cum and it's in the semen.
Right.
So the reality of it is that I'm HIV possible if I don't know my partner's HIV status.
Yep. So I forgot. Home housekeeping. Everyone, please share the broadcast. Share. Sharing is caring. And so wherever you're watching, please share. And also let us know where you're watching from. We do have somebody looking at the computer and looking at the comments. If you have questions, type them in the comments. And parents, if you feel like this might be a little too advanced for your children, then they need to watch something else. But I think this is going to be a great informative hour. So thank you, Marcella, for that.
And can I
Go
just
ahead.
I just want to make sure that we don't single out our
of course not.
males, because the fact is that HIV is transmitted sexually, and so that can be from male to male, male to female, female to female. So I do want to make sure that being HIV possible is by the act of sex. That's just one of the ways. So I don't want our men to feel like it's just them. However, it's through the act of sex, and as she stated, certain bodily fluids in which it is transmitted. So just wanted to put that out there. I don't want our men to feel like we're singling them out.
So does anyone want to share their story of how they became HIV positive?
Well, being the new, I became, I would say, because one, I was looking for love in the wrong place.
Okay.
I'll tell anyone, you know yourself better than anybody. And when something is off, check it. And you got to know yourself and believe in yourself. And I do believe that the gentleman that did do this to me, I believe that he did want to tell me. However, he didn't know how to tell me. And he transitioned before actually telling me.
Oh, wow.
So again, when I did find out about it, I stayed in denial for almost a year. I had just purchased a home, preaching, teaching, actually encouraging others, telling them about, that you can live and thrive before I even knew.
Right.
And now I'm on the other side of the table. How did this happen to me? How did this happen to me? And like I tell the story, and I do believe that it was necessary. Because one of the main factors that I find out now is that it's not talked about in the church.
Nope. Well, I mean, sex is difficult to mention in the church.
It's not mentioned in the church. It's not mentioned verbally in the church. And so I said, okay, so you mean to tell me I gotta go in the church now? But that's what I've been doing now. And my ministry, we're open. Yes, that was my pastor was the one that came to the hospital and told me, no, you're gonna live through this thing. And you're gonna still preach, and you're gonna still teach with this thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing.
Well, and that, look, that's your testimony. So, and that's going to help somebody else.
So once again, my name is Karen, and I've been living and thriving for 31 years. I was diagnosed in 1991. It was a one-night stand, and he's deceased now. But for the first couple of years, I literally blocked it out. It did not happen to me. It was not what I heard couldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started. I went and got retested, and it was the same. So I just asked God if this is what I would have to live my life with for the rest of my life. I just needed to see my kids grow up, be somebody, have a life, and grandbabies and great-grandbabies, however. And He has blessed me with all of that. So I'm grateful to be here. And this is the first time, well, the second time, that I'm telling my story. So a little bit about me. As I stated, it's been 20 years. However, I found out at the tender age of 17.
Oh, wow.
So for those that are watching, I heard you say to the mothers and to the parents, maybe this isn't the show for you, maybe for your children. But it really is. Because I was 17. And so my story was similar. I was looking for love in all the wrong places, and trauma was, for me, I went to the bedroom. I went to the first individuals that, showed me some love and attention. I tell people though, even though I don't want it to be a behavioral, all about the behavior, because there was the trauma, there was the systemic issues, there was the oppressive systems, because I wasn't doing anything different than my white counterparts or the other counterparts of those, but the systems in part failed me in ways. But I was diagnosed at 17. I was a senior in high school. I tell people, but there was two things that I heard while I sat in that doctor's office. God said to me, "This isn't unto death, and I will use you." And so I will tell people at that day I gave birth to triplets: shame, fear, and guilt. I carried that for 24 years. However, in 2018, 2019, my spirit was unsettled, and I was like, okay, God, what are we about to do now? And God said, it's time for you to share your story. And I was like, the devil's a lie. I don't know whether it's orange or black and white. Those that are white, you'll know that. Because again, for 24 years, I was just existing with the diagnosis. But again, I was so happy because I understood the assignment. I understood that now this is a part of my soul's assignment, because there was some young girl or some young, even men that needed to know that you are so much bigger than your diagnosis. And you do get to live, you do get to choose to thrive, but it's your choice. And so just a little bit, I was the adolescent. I was the young girl. So for the mother and for the father that is listening, don't believe, we like to believe that it couldn't be me.
Right.
It couldn't be mine. However, though, we know that our children are doing a lot nowadays. And so that's where my story started. It started in high school.
Which is why they need to not take sex ed out of the schools, but unfortunately they are.
Well, because we know that we live in an abstinence-based society. And the reality is that is the least of our concerns.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's what we're able to talk about is abstinence. But the reality is no, we need to be talking about what we're really doing.
Mm-hmm.
And also how so many of our young men and so many of our young women are in places and spaces where they're looking for love, based on the trauma, the pain, the disappointment, and this is a possibility of where that road could lead.
Right,
So.
and then also I just want to point out that the common thread is that you said that the men are deceased, so they must have been living in some shame or fear because they had access to the same medicines, treatments and everything that you did, right?
The shame is real. I tell people, people are not dying in 2024 of HIV or complications related to AIDS. You're dying because of shame.
Right, exactly.
And we know that shame is intensified because of the stigma. And stigma is the ignorance. And so hopefully by this amazing panel of women sitting here, people can see the beauty. We're not, I can speak for me, but I think I can speak for us. We're not, boasting like, oh, go and contract HIV. However, though, we are some beautiful, amazing individuals. And the first letter of HIV is the human. You see the humanness of all of us here. And so if we can do our part to, on this show with you, to talk about and address and stomp out the stigma, then we can also then address the shame, which is where people are dying in 2024. It's the shame. So
yeah, there's just way too much on the market now. Anybody else want to share?
Yes, I'm Cynthia, and I want to share is that I've been positive for 36 years, but I've lost my mom behind HIV, and my mom died 4 years ago. My mom was HIV positive. 2 years into my diagnosis, it made me roll up my sleeves and go to do the fight because I had to live for my mom. So then losing mom 4 years ago, it was for her to tell me before she died, it was time for me to keep pushing, keep doing what you do, and keep, helping others and giving help. And then I have two sons. They're now 33 and 30, but it didn't happen to them. But my sons are my backers. They protect me, and in anything I do. So I've been around the world. I've been to Canada, thanks to Atlanta. I've been a little bit of place, other places, and did a lot of stuff. So I'm going to keep pushing.
And we appreciate it. Yeah.
So I have to autocorrect. I've been living and thriving 33 years. I need to make sure I get that right. But like I said, this is the first time that I'm able to talk freely and open about my virus, my status, because I didn't used to do that. I hid behind it. It's not something that we talk about in my family. We don't hear it. And now it's time to hear it.
Right.
And so I'm grateful for this panel, Suave. I really am. Sisters with a voice, because we do have a voice. I don't have to be fearful anymore, because you either accept me or keep it moving.
Right.
That be whoever it is. So I was really nervous about this program today, but I'm okay. Because I don't have to worry about what somebody else thinks about me. What I need to worry about is what God thinks about me.
Amen. Yep.
And I'm okay with that. So I'm real grateful.
You must have favor, so you.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yes, I just love this young lady right here. All of you guys, and especially you. Goes without saying. So I'm gonna show up a little bit more for my life, because I don't have to hide.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Thank you.
How often does Sisters with a Voice meet?
Sometimes we meet once a month, sometimes we meet 3 times a month, and it depends, but we normally always meet at least once a month. And so sometimes it's education on retention, mental health, and HIV. We get the opportunity to go to plays and experience live jazz shows. So things that sometimes we aren't able to do on our own.
A little self-care.
Yeah. And so we do that whole self-care thing. And I just want to say for all of these ladies that God has given me the opportunity to work with from day one to where we are today, the growth, the strength, the tenacity is amazing. And so I thank you that y'all let me be a part of your journey, and that together we can change this whole narrative of HIV. So.
And so how many of you all are out in the community? It sounds like a lot of you out in the community, educating and teaching and preaching and, okay.
Yes.
Oh, maybe soon.
Right. As I stated, I do, I'm an ambassador for the CDC for their campaign, Let's Stop HIV Together, which is a campaign that's all about, really educating community around all things HIV, all things STIs, all things prevention. And awareness. I think that's one of the things that I tell people, even though I'm the person that's living with HIV, prevention is still very important to me. You opened up with the statistics that are very real. Sometimes, we know that data can be very scary. We don't want it to be that. Right. But we also want to make sure that women understand and know the truth. Because even as we're sitting here in Atlanta has is the own center of an epidemic when we talk about HIV and other STDs. And so, or rather, I would like to change that to STIs. Right, exactly. Because that's really, that's something, again, a whole nother conversation.
Next month, actually, there's STI week that we're here at Black Doctor. We're going to do that. We're going to cover that.
Yes, and the reason I shifted that for the audience is because language matters. When we talk about HIV, when we talk about just the entire, epidemic, language matters. And so I'm an ambassador for them. I also do work with Their Technologies, which is a pharmaceutical company. I'm the face of a campaign called I Am a Champion. Of course, speaker and all the things in YouTube channel. So I'm just out there doing my part. Because like this one, she doesn't, I'm trying to hold back tears because she is one of the reasons why I do what I do. Because until people are ready, I accept my assignment. I accepted my assignment that God, you want to use me, so use me. But now I'm so happy that I can, hopefully this one is here and is not going anywhere. And that we can continue to, again, like we keep saying, to shift the narrative and change the face of HIV. And so that we can have these conversations in our home and that she can continue to be the amazing, powerful being that God has created her to be. So that's just some of the things I'm doing.
And I have a question. So what is the conversation? I mean, like she said, she has grandchildren. What is the conversation so that we can make sure that this doesn't, because she said her mother had HIV. So what's the conversation so we can stop this generational curse, if you want to call it that?
Well, one of the conversations I had with my children and my grandchildren is I wanted to explain to them that I have a virus. Because a lot of, like she said, the verbiage, when you're considered to have HIV, they don't say HIV. Oh, you have AIDS. No, I don't have AIDS. Yeah. It's a difference. I have a virus. I'm carrying a virus. I don't have AIDS. And so I explained to my children first so that my children would understand from me. And I had to, first, let me go back. I had to do my due diligence. And I had to research it myself. Again, because I was already giving information out. And then I needed to get the information myself. And then I came into people like Myra and Freda and Aid Atlanta and did the research so that I could get viable information out. So when I did sit down with my children and with my older grands, I have 20 and 21 and some older grands, I could give them viable information so that when I get the phone calls, they can say, no, I had to tell them, no, that's a virus. No, this is the statistic. This is the viral load that needs, and so that's what I had to do. And with my children now, we talk about it, and they know probably much as I do now, because when we have the conversation, and one of the things I love it. I love to hear them say, "Grandma, you doing that," and even I tell them don't say "Grandma," "Grandma."
Go ahead.
For me, having two amazing young men that are now 33 and 30. And then with my mom being positive, and then so am I. My sons are my supporters, especially my oldest son. at the age of 6 and 7, he was fighting at school when somebody said something about his mom or his grandma. But now he's 33 years old, and I have 3 grands, and so I'm very open with my family, and they support me on everything I do. I mean, I don't have nothing I have to hide from them.
That's
So
good.
my son is my supporter.
Okay.
You asked the question, what can you do? What's the change? One is language, which is what she's saying. It's very important to make sure that when you are speaking about HIV, that your language is people first. It's positive, it's sensitive. Something else is, especially as we talk about, it's all Black women sitting here. There's a campaign that I really love. It's by Vive, and it's called Risk to Reasons. What you'll notice is a lot of times there's this conversation of people. I would ask the audience just a question. I know you can't respond, in real time, or hopefully you can. When you think of the word risk, and I'm gonna ask you, doctor, what do you think about?
Something dangerous.
Yes, something dangerous, something that we need to heed from. Oh my God. Oh, that's dark, that's dirty, that's nasty. I need to stay away. And so I love their campaign because they're shifting the narrative for individuals to stop seeing themselves, and especially Black women, as a risk. But sis, what is your reason for knowing your status?
Right.
And so that's really important. I love the campaign because it takes into account, again, oftentimes, and I'm just going to put it out there, a lot of women who are probably even watching this episode are going to be like, oh no, I'm not at risk. I'm not. Right. That's what they're going to say. I'm not at risk. That's not, that doesn't look like me. That doesn't smell like me. That doesn't have money like me.
Right.
Because those are the things that we think about. We think about, unfortunately, we know at the beginning of the epidemic, everything was about the risk factors. And the risk factors are your socioeconomic status, where you live, your access to healthcare, transportation. But what we know is it only takes one time, sis. One time, baby boy. That's it. And so, reframing. Yeah, it says you may not be the risk. You don't see yourself as promiscuity as your thing, or community. I live in an upper echelon, and I have all these degrees, and I'm not at risk. But sis, what is your reason for wanting to be aware of your status? What is the reason? Is that because, you know what? I know I'm a Black woman living in Atlanta, and I'm intimate. I want to be in relationship with someone. What is your reason? And so I think when we talk about, really what is it that you can do, is shifting language from, sis, you're not at risk, you're right. That's not, it's not. But what is your reason for wanting to know your status and doing your part? I think if I could lend or offer, as individuals, if you know someone that is living with HIV, how are you showing up for them?
That's a good question.
How are you showing up for them? Are you truly being the change that you want to see? You get to hopefully today have seen this amazing panel of women, beautiful women who are living and thriving. What are you going to do to shift the narrative? One of the things that we love, Black women, what do we love? A good brunch. We love a good brunch.
We do.
Love the hair salon.
Yes.
We love
The nail salon. Yep.
Exactly. Yes. And so again, I think if we to shift the narrative is, if you hear something, speak up. Be bold, be courageous enough to shift that narrative. So those are just a few things that I would add.
Viv, we did on March 10th, Women and Girls HIV. We did a show with them about risk to reason. I think that was the title of it too, actually.
Yes.
And so we had a nurse practitioner, we had a OBGYN, we had a pharmacist, and somebody from Viv. So yeah, it was really good. But I need to go back to the faith. So obviously the pastor, but you also said this is God spoke to you. Anyone else? How does faith play a role in this? How does faith play a role in this? We haven't heard from. Yeah.
Again, my name is Myra, and I'm in my 26th year of my diagnosis. And although we've come a long, long way with regard to healing from this diagnosis, thriving and living longer and removing some of the taboos and the misinformation. You know, we've got to know and we've got to remember that HIV is a soldier. And it's still recruiting. It's looking for hosts every day. You know? And what I know today is that you don't have to be. We 26 years in, 30-something years in, you know, we've done the work, and we're still doing the work. You know, so that if you're out there, you don't have to be a host for HIV. You really don't. Your story may be different than mine, just as Shadon said. It cares nothing about your socioeconomic background, whether you poor, rich, middle class, got money, ain't got no money. None of those things, whether you in love or whether you promiscuous, whether you prostitute, it don't matter. It doesn't care about that. It's just looking for a host. And you don't have to be the host today. I became a host because of the lifestyle that I was living. I was a perfect host for this disease. I was promiscuous. I was living in trauma. That wasn't being, I didn't know what I know today about trauma. So I lived with my trauma, and I medicated my trauma, and I medicated it through drugs and sex. And because that's what I knew, and the person that I believe, I can't even say it anymore, that the person I think gave me this virus gave it to me because of the lifestyle that I was living, right? And what I'm saying is, it's not just people on drugs who are promiscuous. It's not just people on drugs who are making decisions based on trauma, lack of self-esteem, or whatever it is, that are setting themselves up to be hosts. I wasn't surprised when I got my diagnosis, but I had a one-track mind about it. Oh, you got it because she was doing them drugs. You got it because she was sleeping with Tom, Dick, Harry, and Jane. That's why you got it. Now you're no good. All of these things, right? But I got it because I made a decision based on a lack of knowledge, based on not having a support mechanism, based on not knowing anything about myself other than I was to be used and I was to use myself. That's all I knew. So the good news is, recovery saved my life, right? Because I walked into IDP. And Miss Deborah Malumbo said, well, why are you here? I said, well, I'm just trying to get my crazy check. She said, well, the bad news is you're going to live, you need to get a job because you're not getting no check. Right? I'm ready to die because I'm going to live on until I die. And it made a difference, in my thought process. And then I entered into recovery. And I found this God that wasn't punishing me. The recovery gave me that freedom. And I'm saying to you, you don't have to be in recovery now to find the God you understand. What I'm telling you, that's where I found mine. I found mine because one person made me feel like I was going to live. Right? And then I found out that this God is loving. Loves me. I'm worthy. But I got to believe it. And the way I believe it is by not continuing to sell myself short, to belittle myself, to lower my standards. It's been a long, hard road for me to do that. And I'm not sure even now if, Mr. Wright walked in the room, if I wouldn't let down my inhibitions a little too soon. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and part of that work is, having a village where I can, get to, share how I want to share, and nobody judges me. I can say the things that I want to say that I'm feeling about living with the disease. Because don't listen. My name is Myra Lord. It is not I am.
Right.
I give you I am. I am somebody.
Right. Exactly.
Don't get old.
Right.
I am worthy of thriving and living, and you are worthy of living HIV free because we're doing the work for you.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Yes.
Faith. Well, when I was diagnosed, I got diagnosed. I was in a relationship with a guy that I was so much in love with, and we had 2-3 year relationship, and and so me not having a father in my life, it kind of like, I was kind of looking for that in God, in a man. I was looking for, that guidance in a man. So I thought the guy that I was with, it's like I was looking for him to do so much for me, to help me build my self-esteem and, and be there for me, so I can talk to or whatever, and everything. So I was like, I hope this, is the guy's right one for me. But then at that point in time, I didn't know he was a drug addict. So, so I was like, he was a functional drug addict. So I was like, okay, I never didn't know that. But then when I found out about it, I decided to just, leave him, and try to move on. But it was hurting because my father wasn't there. I didn't have no support, for me and everything. So when I got diagnosed, I thought I was going to die. When doc told me, they was like, well, Miss Lockett, do positive. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm gonna die. So what I did was I called my insurance. I had some life insurance. I said I won't call my life insurance policy person right now. So I'm saying I'm finna die right now. But then, I had to realize that I had to build up the script to say that I'm not going to die, because I was at that point in time, I had a 4-year-old. I had a 4-year-old baby boy. So I was like, had to try to live for him and everything. But I didn't want to go to the doctor. I didn't want to go because I was in denial. I didn't want to go to the doctor. I didn't care about seeing a doctor. I didn't care. I didn't want to go, it did. So when I got sick, when I got sick with double pneumonia and I was about to die, I said, Lord, I don't want to die like this. I said, Lord, I don't want to die like this. And the Lord told me, he said, you don't give up. He said, your time is not ending here. You have to get up and take that cross and bear it. So that's what I did. I took the diagnosis of being HIV positive, and I went to. Then what I did was I started going to my doctor's appointments, and I was started taking medications. So like I started on AZT. Was the first medication I started on with AZT back in the beginning. We got AZT what we started off with. So I started on that, and then I kept taking my medication like I was supposed to, and everything. And then, stigma kicks in when I got pregnant with my daughter. Everybody was saying, well, you shouldn't have that baby. You should get an abortion because they say that the statistics say any woman that carries a baby and that the child can be born HIV positive as well. They said the percentage. I was like, nah. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to kill my baby. I'm not going to get an abortion. I'm going to go ahead and live my life like I'm supposed to. So I gave my baby to the Lord, and I carried my child my whole 9 months. And when she was born, when I had her and everything, I had her tested, and they said that she was negative. So I was like, you know what? I said, that's just stigma. It was just stigma. People just didn't want to. It was just, they weren't educated.
Right.
They was telling me stuff. They weren't educated. They weren't educated enough, and I wasn't educated at all as well. So now, since I'm more educated now, and I know that, that now they got different regimens and new regimens. Now we can live a long time, and that they got new medical treatments that we can live long lives, and that's because God created the pharmacists to do this for us.
And this is what I've been saying for so long.
God gave the chemists and the pharmacists this to treat us because we are God's children, and God don't want nothing to happen to His children.
Right.
So I just want to thank God for me being His child. I want to thank Him for giving me the strength to be like I am, and then thank for all the women that came into my life, like Marcella and Freda and Shadon, Sister with Her Voices, people there, Lotus and Heather Ivy, they all came into my life and they really made a big part of my life because I seen how they went through. And I said, well, you know what? I want to grow. I want to grow like them. Mm-hmm. And I just thank God for God putting these women in my path. And I thank him so much for that.
So I have to ask the pastor. So do you have your own church?
No, I am an assistant pastor.
Okay.
At I can say Hope for Tomorrow Deliverance Center, Decatur, where we greater.
So my question to you is, do you go to other churches or speak to other clergy about how to approach this conversation in their?
We're doing that now.
Okay.
We're doing, that was one of the things, because I did have a conversation with my pastor, with my bishops, because I wanted to know the right way, because there's a right way and there's a right verbiage to use.
Correct.
You can say anything, but there's a way to say it. And I wanted to be able to say it.
You don't want to offend the Christians.
Exactly. Because whether we want to say, whether we want to realize it or not, we say abstinence, but realizing that there is really not total abstinence in ministries.
Right.
They're doing it in junior high.
No, you're right. You're right.
So we just wanted to find a way to tell them, a accurate way about it. So that's what we're doing now. So yes, we're having conversations, and we want the pastors to be able to talk about it in your ministry and have these conversations, because it's in your choir stand, it's in your praise team, it's on your usher board, it's in your pulpit. And because if you don't talk to them about it, then they're going to get it from the street.
Is it street or internet?
And either way, it's going to be misconception and stigma.
Yep.
So why not have this? Bring in Vive, bring in Aid Atlanta, bring in myself and others that have viable information that can give you and give your congregants so that they can live and thrive with it, and they don't have to suffer in silence.
Right. Yeah.
Preach. But to piggyback on that, my church as well is followed me here from Florida. I have Faith Deliverance Tabernacle is my church, and my pastor followed me here maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So I still interact with them, and I'm still getting the word out there. My pastor followed me from Florida to here, and they still stick with me, but I still doing the stuff that I want to do, giving back to the community, because it's a great and it's a good thing that you're doing. And I had begun to reach the church maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and my pastor was there with me at all times, and I've been through a lot, but they're still sticking with me. And then thank God for Aid Atlanta and this sweet lady here. I mean, I've been around, but I'm still standing.
Amen.
And I just want to say that, and I have to say that we're starting it. You started last year by women's conference. I actually brought in Aid Atlanta, and that was one of the segments in the conference, because again, I do believe that it has to be taught. We talk about everything in the church. We talk about everything in the church. Stuff that shouldn't be talked about, we talk about it in the church. So why not talk about things that need to be talked about in the church?
And if I could just mention that too, I think as we talk about again, we talk about Black women love a brunch. We love the different things. Where else are Black women?
The church.
Exactly. So I think it is really important. I think one of the things that I'm really grateful for too, in the connection that's happening with Mia is, so there's Compass Gilead. I don't know, a lot of people, it's the Gilead Sciences, but they actually have now their new Wake Forest division, which solely focuses on, or largely focuses on, really how do we combat stigma and shame and really bring awareness into the faith-based community. So there's a lot of that going on too. So I can't wait to see and continue to have these necessary conversations in those spaces. So.
And how can you encourage other faith leaders that are maybe not So, I'm bored with the conversation. I mean, like I said, they have trouble talking about sex, period, in the church. So therefore, to bring this in would be.
I would say, one, do your diligence, do your research, get the understanding of HIV and AIDS. And then if you don't understand it,
Bring people in.
Bring professionals in, bring knowledgeable people in to get you educated first, because you want to know first what you're talking about and what you're bringing before your congregants. So then once you're comfortable that you got the information, then you can bring it to feel comfortable bringing it to your congregants and saying, this is viable information. This is going to save your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's again too, the church it's the disconnect. It's
the
disassociation, as if this isn't us. This could never be us. This is not us. And so it's really placing yourself in the situation and realizing who's in, like she said, your congregation. Please do your work. I'm a member of a church in Houston, of course, still do everything online. And so one of the things that bothers me is that we give a whole month in October to a pink ribbon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We give a whole month to a whole lot of other things, but yet on one day, you may get a pink ribbon. You may get a red ribbon on December the 1st. Do your part. Because again, it's our community. We are here as a collective. The healing happens together. And so we also know that the church is the hotbed for a lot of us.
Right.
So, it's where we go. It's been, I saw a sign out there, so I'm not even going to be controversial, but Christianity is the thing that Black folks know.
Right.
And so, as we know, it's disproportionately impacting Black folks. So let's do our part, especially knowing that the church is leadership for a lot of things. We can talk about politics, but we can't talk about those things that are also impacting us disproportionately. So just do our part. I just love the church to do that, to remember that it's easy to say what we're not doing, but we know it's happening. Right. So at what point are we going to stop being in denial and disassociating ourselves from that? Again, because we see it as a risk thing.
Right.
But what are our reasons as a Black church to be more involved?
And my other question I thought of was, if someone's watching and they happen to be a teen and maybe they don't know their status or they just found out they are positive, what would you say to them? What should they do?
So I'm going to let you know that you can come to Aid Atlanta, 1438 West Peachtree Street. 1438 West Peachtree Street. And Aid Atlanta, we are committed to giving free testing regardless on how you pay.
So outside of Atlanta, since we have a whole lot of people watching.
Okay, so outside of Atlanta, there are, as long as you Google.
Thank you.
That's all you have to do is Google, and you Google free testing.
Right.
Google free testing and you can get tested. But if you're here, you can come and hang out with us.
And you know what? There is a link, and I should remember it. It's Take Home.
Because I work for this, I'm an ambassador.
Viv, yes.
So for those that are listening, those that are watching, if you want to get free testing, it's together.takemehome.org. You can order your free at-home testing. There is also sisterlove.org is a place where you can get free testing. Normalanomaly.org, you can get free testing.
And freehivtest.net.
And yes, and that's what I was going to say. Yes. And so the other thing that we didn't talk about, I know you may talk about it another time, is also, yes, knowing your status is important, but what happens when you do test negative? So then there's the other options of PrEP, and then there's also the option
and so
of
like
PEP.
We covered PrEP on, that was what we did on the Viv show. Yeah.
So yes, so for testing though, it's together.takemehome.org. You can go there and you can get free testing. And then like you said, HIV.
And so that one, they'll mail the kits to your home.
Yes, they mail it. And so I tell guys, and so it's very discreet.
And they send two. I had to test it out. So why not?
So you can get up to two. Yes, you can get up to two tests.
Yes.
You can do one if you want, but I tell you again, unless you're just doing something by yourself, but more than likely you are doing it with somebody else. So I don't want you to get.
Look, if you're doing it by yourself, then you're safe.
Exactly. As long as you have gotten tested once in the last year, you are good to go. Especially with, I ain't gonna even talk about that rose. But anyway. I'm just saying. But yes, like you said, you can get up to two free tests every 90 days. And they come very discreetly, guys. I'm so serious. It's in, the package you won't even know. Nobody has to know your business because, again, it's stigma,
Right.
Because we do understand for a lot of people going into a doctor's office and even having that conversation is hard, but that's a whole nother, thing, because I need you to be able to have that conversation with them.
But you can do the test. No blood is involved.
None. It's
20
a swab.
minutes, you'll have the results.
You do swab top, swab bottom, and you literally have your results. And there's enough information to, like I said, depending on what the results of your test is, where to go. If it is negative, how to stay negative.
Yep.
And also, if unfortunately you are brought into the secret society, because sometimes that's what it feels like, where to go and how to access help.
And so just for everyone that didn't see the show on the 10th, PrEP is now available. PrEP is amazing. It's preventative, basically, HIV medication. So it's really wonderful, and it's available for everyone. So when they first came out, those commercials were a little confusing.
Well, the truth was is that when it came out, and that's again where we have issues when it comes to Black women and Black bodies, is that it was not for women.
Right, exactly, at all.
Exactly. Where, like, I love that you said now,
It's
as
for
Black women,
everyone.
it's for all of
people.
us. And it's not even just a pill. There's the option for an injectable.
Yes.
So that's a whole nother conversation. Makes it easy for those of us who don't like to swallow to look good.
Right.
You get to take an injection. So that's another
so,
option.
So
as well.
definitely, it's so much information, so much new information that I think that even some parents are behind and don't know, so they don't know to tell their children. And like I said, now that they are taking sex ed out of schools, it's like, where are they going to get the information? They need to get the information from somewhere. And even earlier, like we said, junior high, they need to get the information earlier, because I did some stories many years ago, and there were junior high kids who weren't having sex because they were giving oral under the table at lunch. But they didn't understand that that was still sex, and you could still be passing something. And so, so it's really important that we talk to the children openly and explain things. My mom she's a healthcare provider, so she's a respiratory therapist, and she taught it. And so she always used the real words. This is the penis and that's a vagina. And she didn't use all the cute vajayjay and all. No, it was the real thing. And I think that's very important. And unfortunately, there are people my age that don't know one hole from another, which is just awful. But it happens. But yet they're using all three of them. And you do that. So that's a whole other problem. Exactly. So, and so I think education. So if somebody needs to get tested, we have given you 1 million ways to get tests that you do not have to pay for. So there is no excuse. No excuse.
And because I'm so glad you were really resting on that, because I hear people. I literally was just talking to one of my HBCU alums yesterday, and she was like, well, I was just going to go to Walgreens and get it for $30. I said, girl, how many times have I told you?
Say your $30.
So literally. And so literally she and I went on every website that I just gave you guys. And because we're actually getting ready to do something, she was able to order it. She did a social media campaign so people could see literally how easy it is. It's not hard, guys. And it's, again, you get to do it in the privacy of your home and, really take charge of your health.
Yep. They even sell them on Amazon, but you can get them for free. So you just get them for free. And we're going to, we have to wrap up soon. So please, can you give us some words to let us know, what would you tell your sisters to empower them and to break down the stigma and help them to keep themselves protected?
Well, I think you all have all given great information. But one of the things that I want people to know is, it's one thing to get tested. And if you get tested, if you test yourself, whether you do it or go and get it done, read the information, of course. If it's negative, then the decision has to become that you don't want to have to continue to keep testing. You don't test, then go have unprotected sex, and then come back and test again. You're still putting yourself in a danger zone, and I think that's a misnomer for a lot of people. That HIV, we're living so much longer now. And, all this medication is available now and different things. And people thinking they can just continue to have promiscuous sex, go get tested, okay, I'm good, and that's it. And that's not it. What you want to do is, thank God, you dodged a bullet and start learning how to have safer sex methods put in place. There's no such thing as safe sex unless you're having zero sex. So, you want to practice safer sex methods. And listen, semen is only good for fertilizing an egg. So it's not needed unless that's what you're planning to do. So, to protect yourself. They have female condoms as well as male condoms. Protect yourself. That's my thing. Stop living in denial of the truth of the matter, especially when you have family members and loved ones who are living with the disease of HIV. They know what they're talking about when they tell you what to do and what not to do. That's my message.
How would you encourage us?
So I just want to end with this, and you guys said a lot, especially you. My understanding, this thing can lay dormant too. 10 years. I just want to let y'all know that. Just because you get a negative result, keep testing, because it can hide itself and lay dormant. Okay?
And practice safer sex.
And please, I just don't do it.
So you go on with the abstinence.
Yeah. Because it's cracked up to do.
Stop.
I ain't gonna tell you that, sis. Because I think if I could leave my sisters with something, just know that you have a choice to choose. You have a choice. I'm not gonna agree. I'm gonna say, because we are human beings, you're gonna have, there's this desire for pleasure and connection. Just know, sis, that you have a choice to choose. You get to be in total control of what happens with your life. And I just want you to choose the best, whatever is best for you. Do your part. I tell people I didn't say this, I'm a licensed therapist. More so, I call myself the healologist. Sis, do your part to heal so that you can live whole, authentic, beautiful lives and just choose you. So.
Tell people how they can follow you.
You can follow me. Everything makes it easy. Shada McCants. That's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all the things. You can follow me at Shada McCants. SHADAWN. Last name is MCCANTS. You can follow me on all social media platforms. But yes, sis, just do your part to heal so that you can live your whole best life and you get to do what you want.
You have any final words?
Just know that if you are living, you can live and thrive. Live your life. Don't worry about the stigma, because they're going to talk. They talked about Jesus and look at all that he did.
I just want to say, just make sure you know your status.
I just want to say just be faithful and thank God for life, health, and strength.
I like to say, talk to your family members about having this conversation about sex.
But just by chance you don't do anything we say, we'll be here for you in the circle.
And I would just like to say that we want you ladies to understand your power of yes and your power of no, and that we need to ask those really serious questions before we lay down. That's a whole nother conversation. So I want you to understand yes and your no.
So we have to give a special thanks to our partners, the Black Leadership AIDS Crisis Coalition, Black, and HVTN Faith Initiative, Aid Atlanta, Hammond House Museum, Tim Farmer and Farmer Tech Group, and all the Sisters with a Voice. And don't forget freehivtest.net. Thank you so much, and we will see you again next week.